all jokes aside, like I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
So I always start these by like, obviously I know you really well, but for people that don't know you, right, or what you do, if you just give like a brief background about yourself.
Justin, first off, thank you for having me on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. We've known each other for a long time, obviously. We grew up together on Twinbrook Court. Shout out to Twinbrook and Ramsey. But no, I'm Peter. I live in New York City. My profession is airline pilot. I fly for a legacy cargo company on a Boeing 767, pretty much all around the world. And I'm big into fitness, big into my church, volunteer group, family, friends mean everything to me. And currently navigating life as it comes at me.
Awesome. Navigating was a good word.
Yeah, I mean, look, the older I get, the more books I read, the more people I talk to, the more I expand my circle. I realize that my issues, my problems, my peaks and my valleys aren't that unique. You know, the mankind has been along for a long time, and there's a lot of problems out there that people think are impossible to overcome, but it's probably a good chance that somewhere along the line, someone has experienced the same high and or the same low as you have. And it's good to get people's not only like opinions, but what they did to overcome and or prolong their peaks or overcome their valleys.
Dude, I'm so glad you said that. I was just chatting yesterday with some people on an Instagram live about how we always think that whatever problem that we're dealing with is like our weird little issue. It's like I have this specialized issue that no one else deals with. And then you go to church or you talk to a coworker or you call up a family member or a friend and it's like, oh yeah, I've dealt with that. And then all of a sudden it's almost like this sigh of relief almost.
Yeah.
There's probably millions of people dealing with the same shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I live in New York City, like I mentioned earlier, with 8 million people or whatever it is on the island here. And I walk around sometimes after a bad breakup or, a family incident or whatever it may be that has me kind of down in the dumps. And you see everyone, whether they're listening to their music or they're smiling or they're having conversations with friends, you're like, man, everyone seems like they're just living life and everything's good. And I'm the only one that's, getting the short end of the stick here. But it's not the case. Every single person you pass and encounter every single day, you never know what they're going through. And life is hard, right? Life is effing hard. I don't care how much money you're making, how successful you are in business, how successful you are as an athlete or a business person, or how successful your relationship may be, how happy you may be in that relationship with your partner. You're going to have issues. Issues are going to arise, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're fit, whether you're not fit. I mean, whether you have money or don't have money, issues are going to arise. So I really try to not live my life exactly knowing that, but when I might be in a bad mood or short-tempered that day or lack of patience, know that the person I'm interacting with or the person I might be holding the door for or the person I might want to honk my horn at, they might be going through something that may be just as negative or detrimental to their mental, physical, or spiritual health that I have no idea about. So I'm not obviously anyone I didn't make this up, but the old adage is like, be kind, right? And it's words to live by because you never know what that person's going through on the inside.
Yeah, 100% agree. You mentioned books. What books, like, give me one out of the top 3 that you've read over the last year that's helped you?
Yeah, a book that I've read in the last year that's been like paramount to my kind of growth as a man and as an individual. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie in my opinion. Is the Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Peale. And it's short, it's sweet, easy read, highly recommended. I got it on like thrift books or walmart.com for like $3.99 used. There's like a billion copies out there, so it's super easy to find. But it's a really, really good book. Have you read it?
I have not read it, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay, yeah. The church that he actually, I will say it's based a lot around faith, and a lot of verses from the Bible are presented in that book, but it's for people who believe in God, don't believe in God, and everyone in between. And his church is actually right down the road from me, the church that he kind of preached at while he was still alive, Norman Peale. And I pass it almost every day to and from the gym. But anyway, the book just really helps you think. It breaks it down, into like everything is not as big of a deal as we might think it is. And even if it is a big deal, like our partner's really sick, or our mom or dad fell ill, or got diagnosed with this, that it's not the end all be all, right? Like it's time to have powerful thoughts and good thoughts, and the mind is like the most powerful tool in the world. And if we believe in outcomes such as a recovery from an illness, or succeeding in your business, that can really kind of push you the right way into succeeding and ultimately accomplishing what you want to accomplish.
Yeah, that's awesome. When did he write that?
That was like 1920s or 30s, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, so like Tony Robbins,
Yeah.
David Goggins, all these like hardcore and motivational guys. I mean, Steve Harvey, these are all guys that I look up to, by the way, that I watch on TikTok, Instagram Reels, podcasts. I think they're amazing at what they teach, but it's been happening before they were even alive, right? It just wasn't mass media, social media wasn't out there to spread the word. So I know Norman Peale's has written a lot. And another book, just to add on to the list, this is one that I'm sure everyone has probably heard of, but How to Win Friends and Influence People, or How to Win, how to win,
Yeah.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. Remind me of the author.
Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie. Yeah, that same thing, like 1910, 1915, 1920s, that was written. And when people haven't heard that book, I will admit the title of it sounds kind of like, oh, you're trying to deceive people to be like influence them. I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with that at all. It just helps with like everyday interactions. I've only read it once. I need to reread it, but like little things like saying people's names, and thanking people, wishing them happy birthday, all these little things that just make someone's day better. And, connecting with people and human beings is such an important thing, I believe, in everyday life, whether it's a occurrence that's only going to happen once, right? Like a once off, you're dropping off the mail. I went yesterday to drop off a package to one of my best friends who just had a baby. I dropped off a package for her, and I was talking with the mail woman, and she was in a bad mood. She was snappy with me. She was, no, it doesn't go there, it goes there. And I was like, all right, I have two ways to handle this situation. I can either be like, hey, F you, I didn't even say anything, stop getting on my ass. Or I could realize, hey, maybe she's having a really bad day. Maybe her boyfriend just dumped her. Maybe, she's been here for 15 hours on her feet, trying to feed 3 kids on her own. I have no idea. She could be a total, bitch, but what does that get me by calling her out on that, right? So I believe the better way to handle those situations, those one-off situations, just be kind and ask her how her day is. And her mood changed immediately. She didn't apologize to me, but she immediately was so helpful. I think I might even got like a little discount on the shipping based on my, questions with her. We just had like a little, probably a minute and a half conversation. It didn't take any time out of my day. I was in no rush. I got to the gym a minute later, whoop-de-doo. But I can guarantee you she remembered that conversation on her drive home.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. That's powerful stuff, man. That reminds me of there's a book called Never Split the Difference, which
Okay.
is an unbelievable book on negotiation. And one of the things he says is, I'm not quoting this exactly, I'm paraphrasing, but he says, never be rude to someone who can hurt you by doing nothing.
Never be rude to someone who can hurt you by doing, yeah.
Right. So, like, that lady's in service to you. But if
Mhm.
she just does nothing, like, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Right. Or
Yeah.
like the waiter, like, it's like he can just not bring you your food.
Yeah.
Right.
Or worse, right? Spit in it
Or
or
worse.
exactly. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And honestly, just to like piggyback on that subject, don't get me wrong, I ain't no saint, right? I've had my days of middle school and high school and even after in college where I was like herd mentality, locker room mentality. And, I've definitely talked behind people's back. I think everyone in the world has at one point. But the older I get, the more knowledgeable I get, I realize I'm like talking smack or just being negative towards anyone, even if they're negative towards you, it does you no good.
Right.
Right. And I'll admit, I got to protect myself at all costs. Right. Like I volunteer and I help people out and I'm all about spreading the wealth and spreading the good word and all that stuff to others who will listen. But at the end of the day, like I want to make sure that my needs and my wants are taken care of as well. And I realize whenever I get angry at someone or talk down to someone or about someone, it never fulfills me. It never brings me up.
Hmm.
I'm not like, oh, let me talk smack about that person. Then I'm going to have a good lift at the gym. Like that never works. I never go to bed happier after I may or may not have like said something negative to someone or acted rude to the waiter or, the person who cut me off driving home from the airport. It never makes me feel better.
Right.
Right. In the moment, yeah, like you got your own, you got to yell at the window, you got them, they go on their separate way, you go your separate ways, and you're never like, yeah, I'm a bigger, better person. You cool down, you're like, what the fuck was the point of that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of that on social media,
Dude. Yeah.
right? So I know your account is kind of blown up, and it's funny. I saw this with and I want your take on this, but I saw this with the Lumineers, right? Who are also from Ramsey, and it was like,
AMZ, let's go, Ramland.
and as they were like coming up, everyone just loved them, and it was like great band, positive press, all the stuff. And then I noticed they got that big break with like that CW show, and their career just went like crazy. And I remember like watching their followers and stuff, and it was like they were like 100,000 Facebook followers, like when they like hit it. And then I started seeing negative comments and like negative press and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, that's so fascinating. It's like there must be some sort of tipping point where you reach a certain number of people and they just come out of the woodwork to shit on you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I just saw again, it's not the exact quote, but it was some motivational podcast or clip I saw on social media. And it's exactly that. It was like everyone roots for you on the way up, but then when you get there, they want to bring you down because they realize, wow, like I could have done that, or that should be me,
Yeah.
or whatever the reason is. I don't know. Because I don't know. Again, I'm not that type of person who tries to bring anyone down really ever, especially in this point in my life. But I see it, and you're absolutely right. Like it's funny that you tracked that progress because, like, when they were free beer or when they were six cheek, like we
Yeah.
just shot, we had fun, and they weren't getting blasted online for like, oh, this song is not good because you say two words, heyo or whatever, right?
Right.
But then like they go platinum, and it's like, dude, what we're only saying two words, heyo. It's like you guys stink. And it is funny. Yeah, I don't know what the number is. You had mentioned my social media getting a little traction there for a minute. I mean, yeah, my first 5, 10, maybe 15 videos. It was all my friends and family, like, oh, awesome, like keep it up, like cool day in the life or whatever, right? So for people who don't know, I post a lot of like day in the life videos of just being an airline pilot, kind of like behind the scenes stuff, and also like informational videos as far as, how to become a pilot, fastest way to get there, best airlines to fly for, things of that nature. Anyway, the more views and eyes I got on it, the more hateful DMs or comments I would get. I mean, you can look at my most recent one I just posted last week, and there'll be comments where it's like, no one cares, this is cringe, like put your shirt on, like focus on the flying the plane, no one cares what you're doing in the hotel. And it's just like, all right, like luckily I have thick skin and I can take it, because I either learned this from you, Justin, or from Goggins. And again, someone along the way was the first person to say it, but people punch up. They punch up, right? Like people below you are trying to attack you. No one comes from above and tries to hurt you. I use this analogy. Honestly, I use it just the other day. And this one I got exactly from you. It's like, all right, my friend Justin here is trying out, a new song and a YouTube video with his guitar, and he puts it out online, and the comments he gets from nobodies or from fake screen names or your music sucks, you're never going to make it, blah, blah, blah. Paul McCartney, John Mayer, the Lumineers, they ain't messaging you saying, dude, you're never going to make it. Your guitar sucks, put it away. Because that's just a perfect analogy. I would use the analogy towards me, but like there's no, I guess we'll use Maverick, all right? Freaking Top Gun Maverick, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise would never message me and be like, yo, your day in the life videos as a pilot are fucking atrocious. They're cringe. Stop doing them. And the day he does, I will stop. If Maverick does that, then I will be like, all right, deal, done. But no, in all seriousness, people punch up. And I don't get it because, again, I've never commented negatively towards anyone's social media ever. I don't understand if they're fearful of your success, if they're jealous, if they're playing like the Hey Arnold Helga, where it's like they really like you and they're just trying to be mean so you can like see them more. I don't know what it is. I really don't. I'll never understand it, honestly, but it's so true. The more eyes you get on you, the more like people come out.
There's Goggins, and he said, you'll never find a hater doing better than you.
Bang.
Right? Dude,
Bang.
it's like short and sweet. And it's like, damn,
that.
it's like, that's totally true.
I couldn't think of like literally one example where that is true. Like maybe in like WWE, but it's fake. It's like fake wrestling. So like the top guy will yell at the bottom guy. But you're absolutely right. Like in sports, entertainment, music, writing, painting, public speaking, comedy, like the top comedians aren't being like, you never hear Kevin Hart being like, dude, the guy who just went on open mic was horrible.
Right. Yeah, tweeting about it. Yeah.
Right. Never. So it makes no sense. Again, I think it's like there's a spectrum of it, but it's either they're hurt people is another like short and sweet thing, right? Hurt people. So they're on their couch looking at, you crushing it with the carnivore diet and you're getting your body in shape and the results. They see me with my shirt off, crushing workouts, and they're like, well, I couldn't go on a run today. I didn't work out. I don't look like Justin. I don't look like Pete. Like I'm embarrassed or I'm insecure. Let me hate on them. I'm not saying that's what happens, but it's one of the reasons why it could definitely be occurring.
Yeah, for sure. I think it is an insecurity, and it's also like a status game where people are trying to raise their status by putting someone else down.
Definitely.
And it's just like a really easy way to do it. And I guess you do feel better. I mean, maybe people do feel better about themselves in the short term. It's just not going to get them anywhere.
No,
for sure. But how do you, so like now that you're, you do, and like you've shared some of these, share whatever you want to share, dude. But you share some of these DMs and comments and stuff, and they crack me up because they're so ridiculous. Like I can't believe what's going on in these people's heads. But like, how do you how do you think about it? Like, how do you handle it? Does it affect you, or are you just kind of immune to it?
Yeah, great question. Honestly, for though, again, you know me pretty well. I think it's kind of just how I grew up with such a close family, supportive family, such a close friend, supportive friend group. And like we were always there for each other, right?
Sure.
Like literally always there for each other. And, growing up in New Jersey, living in New York City, like I have thick skin. Like I really do. So, saying like, yo, bro, hit leg day every once in a while, or like, you know, maybe you shouldn't shave your legs before you go to the gym or wear shorts and things like that, which I don't, by the way. I just don't have much hair on my legs. Um, I just think it's a combination of like, I know who I am, my family, my friends, my church group, my close peers, like they see how hard I work. They know who I am down to the core as a genuine person. I tend to be kind of a smart ass myself and a little bit on the kind of unapologetically out there. Because I don't know. I just to answer your question, words don't really hurt me. They don't really like affect me too much because I know a lot of the times that, again, I'll say it again, hurt people hurt people. So in my recent discovery of like getting to know myself better, connecting more with God and like getting stronger in faith, I know that like at the end of the day, I shouldn't be upset with these people sending me these messages or commenting on my videos or posts. It's like I should be praying for them. Like I should really be hoping that they can find the help and support that they need, because luckily I'm blessed to have that with my family and friends. So I'm kind of not immune to it, because I'm not going to lie. There's obviously some times where a second will go by and I'm like, man, like I guess my legs are really hairless and skinny, or like maybe, I am too full of myself in this video or whatever. But then it lasts very, very briefly and I move on with my day. So a lot of my friends have said, Pete, you're the perfect person to do like TikToks and Instagrams and stuff because you don't take offense to anything. And that a part of that is true. I just think, again, circling it all back is I just know that my true friends and family who really know me love the content that I'm putting out. I mean, I get for every negative comment or DM I get 8 or 10 positive ones. So it's a no-brainer, right? Keep it going.
It's funny how the mind sometimes focuses on the negative ones, even though they're like the itty bitty
Yeah.
percentage. It's like when I was playing shows and you have 100 people at the show and 95 of them are having a fucking ball. I'm just looking at the guy like that's on his phone. Like, what the
Yep.
fuck is wrong with that guy?
Yep.
And it's also funny that you brought up New Jersey. And I think specifically, I think it's a New Jersey thing because I've lived in a few places now where it's like we were constantly being verbally abused by our friends and verbally abusing our friends. And then like also the block that we grew up on, like there's a lot like physically like beating each other up and tons of like, bullying people, getting bullied, all that kind of good kid stuff will
Yeah.
definitely build thick skin.
For sure. I mean, look, we talk about it too all the time with sports, our coaches,
Yeah.
right? Like the shit that was said and done to us at football practice, even though I only lasted like 3 days
I
there.
was wondering if we were going to talk about football.
We
I
can if
think
we
you
need
I
to.
think you did a week, dude.
Maybe a week. It wasn't long. We did one Oklahoma drill and I was like, get me the fuck out of here. Like even baseball, right? I remember we had a coach with a tennis racket and like we'd go behind the backstop and he would just fucking whack balls. I won't mention his name because I don't want to like call him out, but like great coach.
High school?
But yeah, yeah, no, like middle school, yeah, middle
Okay.
school, stuff like that. But whack balls and like the stuff that would be said to us, like after we struck out, like it was, and but we also, I don't want to say we grew up in the generation, like sound like a boomer, but like we didn't grow up with participation trophies.
Right.
You know? There's there's a lot of stuff that has changed for the good, right? There's a lot of things that like teachers and coaches did and said that probably should be eliminated. But
Right.
with that, a lot of negatives come with it, with like the soft generation and people being like, I need this, I need that.
I think we just missed that
Yeah. Oh yeah.
by like maybe just a few years. Because I remember we got a new fourth or fifth grade gym teacher, and it was in Hubbard, and he stopped keeping score. And he would always say, if you had fun, you won. And I
Yeah.
remember we were always so pissed because like we're like, we put up 30 points in
Yeah.
kickball,
Yeah.
clearly won.
Yeah.
And so like I think it's just ingrained in us, especially in men, to want competition and want there to be a final decision.
Absolutely.
Imagine watching the UFC and the guys beat the crap out of each other. Like, you both, well, did you have fun?
Yeah.
You guys
Exactly.
both won. No, it doesn't work that way.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, so I was saying, for all the few things that have changed for the good, I think a lot more negatives come with the whole, everyone wins. And if you had fun, you won and all that stuff. Couldn't agree with you more.
How do you think that shows up for people later in life?
Great question. I think we're about to find out, right? Because we just missed it at our ripe age of 33, about to be 34. And so I guess everyone's like probably 26, 25 and under, that grew up kind of in that generation, and not necessarily like to their own fault, right? Like, it is what it is. You grow up where you grow up. Look, I'll back it up a little bit. Like, our parents, our dads, the reason they pushed us was because when they were growing up, it was even worse. It was a lot harder than what we had as well, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there was no like getting rides to school and like cell phones and texting and this and Ubers. It was like, dude, we walked in the fucking snow, and like the only way I could pay for this book in class was to shovel 10 driveways. I'd be like, Mom, I need this book. And she'd be like, all right, here's $10. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sure.
But anyway, no, it's how it affect them. Honestly, I think it's just how the world is moving. So I don't think there'll be such as dramatic as people, because I see the tweets and I see the videos, and it's like the comments will be like, these people, as in like this generation, will be running government and running hospitals one day. And that is true. But like, what did our parents say the exact same thing about us? And the strong will kind of poach out. And obviously there's 18-year-olds out there that don't do participation trophies. You know what I mean? Or like, I don't fucking want this. This is bullshit. So I think those that accept it, that accept just like hand-me-outs and accept participation ribbons and are okay with it, or even worse, think that like it should be that way, then, well, they're just not going to be, like, in my opinion, won't succeed as like titans of industry, or won't be leaders of business or government or organizations, because they're too much, they're not cutthroat, and I don't mean, and cutthroat doesn't even mean to be negative. Cutthroat just means you want to succeed no matter what. And
Right.
a lot of businesses and a lot of organizations at some point in time need that in a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a good transition. So as people become mentally softer, I'm also seeing that they're becoming physically softer. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Can you repeat that?
Good. Saying to transition that over to fitness is like, we're seeing people become mentally softer, maybe because of the participation trophy, whole ideal. We're seeing them become physically softer too, like literally like soft body people. And I feel sad about it, but I also feel good about myself when I'm out in public, because I know that the average 33-year-old guy doesn't look like me, so if like I've accomplished something, but I'm also like, weary, I guess, like for the country in a whole, like why are we developing such soft people? And like where is this, and it's not going to lead anywhere good. Um so like I guess like on the fitness thing, which I don't know if you know this, but something I talk about a lot, 72% of people in the US are obese or overweight.
And
72%.
7 and 10.
Yeah.
Seven.
Seven
Yeah.
in 10 people are either obese or overweight. And it pretty much breaks down like in half of that. So like it's about 35% obese, 35% overweight.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
So like as far as like
That number has increased. If like you look back in 2000, 1990, it's obviously increased. Yeah.
yeah, so what's really interesting, and people share this a lot online, is like photos of people at the beach in the 60s and the 70s, and everybody's skinny, dude. Everybody's skinny. And it's really, really strange. You're wondering like what's going on. Is something in the food, or people just not as active as they used to be? I mean, there's probably multiple factors, but what do you do? Like what got you into fitness, and like and what do you do for it now?
Yeah. First off, I should say, yeah, it's super interesting. I think kind of what you were saying there of why now is the obesity and overweight numbers increasing rather than staying the same or decreasing. I think it's exactly that. I think it's all factors adding up and it's just making a perfect storm, right? So it's like people being soft mentally and lazy with Netflix and TikTok and Instagram and just so much access on your fingertips. Like, I mean, literally, what would we do every single day after school? We'd run to each other's house, ring the doorbell. Hey, is Justin home? We go play wiffle ball. We go play hockey. We go skateboarding, right? Like
Yo, bro, we were riding our bikes to third grade together.
Yeah.
I don't think 9-year-olds get on their bike
That's
and
what I'm saying.
ride to school anymore. And like I know there's a lot of, other stuff and like
Yeah.
security and safety of your kids, but we lived in that last generation that was able to just walk out of the house and then like hear a dinner bell from like a mile away and be like, all right, I guess it's time to come home.
Be Mr. O'Connor's whistle.
O'Connor's whistle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's dinner time. But literally like that, so that there's just one, like that won't fix the obesity problem. It's like, hey, everyone ride your bike to school. I mean, it would help obviously, but then people would say, well, I can't do that in this city, or it's dangerous at this place or whatever. So I get that, but add that into like, okay, I got to pick my kid up and go here and here and here and here. And I mean, look, groceries are fucking expensive and it takes a long time to cook. I'm a single guy. I cook almost every single meal in my kitchen on my own. It's a lot of money and it takes a lot of time. Like even a simple meal is an hour between prep, cook, and cleanup. It's an hour of my day. So we're parents taking their kids, or we're kids just going on their own to ride their bike to, or while they're driving. Fast food, right? Like processed foods, all this garbage that we're inhaling. And it's just becoming more and more and more. I mean, we didn't have Smash Burger when we were growing up. We didn't have Five Guys, but now there's like 18 different burger joints to pick from. And if you have Five Guys, you're like, oh, well, I didn't have McDonald's yet this week. So you go to McDonald's. For us, it was like, all right, I had McDonald's, so I can't do that next week. All right. I had pizza. All right, I guess like mom has to cook, or we have to eat at home this time around, But now it's like so many different options, and Uber Eats. Add that into just like the fact that people like surviving just on money alone, or have to work 2 jobs. So I think it's just all that factored together is the reason you see this increasing. I think it just all plays a factor with less activity, more processed foods, a lot more options. And just like, I know I have friends here in the city that high paid individuals that work freaking 80, 90 hours a week. And like, they literally don't have time to go to the gym. They do not have time to cook, clean, prep meals. So they're getting delivery, whether they pick a cleaner option, right? Like a Kava is like a popular thing in the city where it's like healthier option. As you know, it's still doused with salt, doused with butter. The vegetables are the reason they taste good is because they're sauteed in a gallon of butter, right? So it's
Yeah.
going to add
I
up.
wish
So I
they
think
were
it's,
using butter. They're
what's that?
using, I wish they were using butter.
Okay.
That places like Kava specifically are using like canola oils, things
Okay.
like that stay in your system, especially in your like visceral fat for
Gotcha.
some people think months, some people think years.
Yeah.
You see a lot of like skinny dudes, but I mean they got that like weird, like it's like a beer belly kind of
Yeah.
thing, but like the rest of them is like skinny. It's just like all those seed oils and probably beer too is just kind of sitting in that visceral fat.
Not being, I forget who I was talking to the other day, but someone said something about some sort of food. Oh, it was my buddy Dara, who I golf with. He was like, dude, whatever this, that, or this is, he's like, it just, some of it like it's not even digestible.
Yeah.
Like we look at like recycling plants, and it's like, oh, that'll be there for like the next 150 years.
Yeah.
It's like, well, some of that stuff is like what we put in our body.
Don't use
Crazy.
your body as a recycling plant.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But to go back to your, I want to talk about, I wanted to agree with you on that and talk about that. But no, to get to your question of what got me into fitness, I've always been like a pretty active person. I played all the sports for the most part growing up. Whether it was like in a league, like serious, like for baseball or basketball, but even like recreational, as you know, like just hockey around the block or throwing the football, with friends and golf and things like that. So I was never fat. I was always like kind of actually the skinny kid. So my fitness journey has been a little bit different in the sense of I've been actually trying to put on weight in my fitness journey, not losing it, which obviously I'm not the only one who's trying to gain weight and gain muscle mass, but I would say the majority of the commercials you see, infomercials, the amount of, ads you see, it's for weight loss, right? And losing weight and losing weight. It makes sense. 72% of the people you just mentioned need that, right? I'm blessed to have the metabolism and the genes and the genetics that I have, that I'm naturally skinny. So what started my journey to like putting on weight was just I really wanted to like do a 180 in my life. A lot of negative was happening to me right around this time last year. I'd gone through a bad breakup. I had some issues with family going on. I had issues in my profession, my professional life, and things just weren't clicking. And my honest, at 30, I guess I was 32 last year. So at 32, my remedy for being down in the dumps or not feeling great was to always party and chase girls. As bad as that may sound, like that's what I would always do. I would just get back on dating apps to like help me with the breakup, right? And go out on dates with women. Just to keep me like, oh, people are interested in talking and like I get to talk to people and kind of go with that. And then drinking and partying. I would just drink, not every night, but I would look for someone that wanted to go out, or I'd go on these dates and have a couple of glasses of wine, maybe before the date, during the date, and possibly after. And everything I was doing in that time in my life, I was doing it. I had a lot of good habits. I was going to church, but every once in a while. I was going to the gym, but every once in a while. I was cooking my own meals healthily, but every once in a while. I wasn't really doing anything consistently. I said, you know what, Pete? I had a pretty couple bad, almost, I want to say almost close to months, but definitely a lot of weeks added up. And I was just down, down, down. One of the worst, definitely most recent ruts I've been in. And I said, well, if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? Again, that's obviously not my quote, but we've all heard that before. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And I was like, well, I have two options here. I can go back on the apps. I can go to the gym every once in a while. I can start drinking again and numb the pain and the weakness that I'm feeling. Or we can try something new, right? We can look for new hobbies. We can dive into the gym. We can dive into church. We can try volunteering on a more consistent basis. We can stay away from the apps and focus on yourself. And I said, what's 1 year, right? Because in the grand scheme of things, again, this isn't me. None of my stuff is original, unfortunately, but I've seen it and heard it enough where it's like, what's 1 year? It sounds like a lot in the if I'm saying this right, like in the macro or in the micro, it sounds like a lot, but in the macro, it's really not a big deal. I mean, think
Yeah.
of last year. So think of July, whatever today is, 17th, like it went like this.
Yeah.
So why not give it a shot for one freaking year? I was like, all right, I'm going to not date, go on apps for a year. I'm going to go to church every single Sunday. I'm going to go to the gym every single, I mean, these were big items. I knew, look, church every single Sunday. I do go every single Sunday. I will admit though, in the, how many Sundays there have been so far or out of the 52 Sundays, I didn't go at 52. I went like 32. I missed 20 I mean, it's excuses, but sometimes I couldn't get around to it. The gym, for example, okay, minimum 5 days a week. Were there were sometimes I didn't get to the gym and just did 50 push-ups? Yes, absolutely. But long story short, or short story long at this point, I decided to dedicate myself to positive, healthy things. Whether it was, people can say, oh, well, you went to the gym to look better, to, whatever people say, like, oh, to be more about yourself. Or another thing I started was social media. I said, you know what? I like making content. So I'm going to dive into a little bit of fitness, but a lot about the pilot stuff, and do TikToks and Instagrams and YouTube videos. And at first people were like, oh, well, you're just doing that to get girls and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not, but I can understand why you might think that. And it kept my mind busy, instead of thinking about my ex-girlfriend or thinking about, the illness that my family was dealing with, or the negative position I was in at work. I was like, let me dive into positive aspects of my life and see if this will act, and do a 180. Because again, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And have I had down days in the last 365? Absolutely, 110%. But do they last? They don't last as long.
Mhm.
And I get myself out of them so much quicker because I go back to the main categories of my life that I'm passionate about and that make me feel better. Working out, eating right, getting outside, going to church, praying, and making content are stuff that I physically, mentally, and spiritually enjoy. So it makes me a better person, and it makes me feel better about myself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good that you took it's like that negative force, like you have a choice whether or not to use it as drive and motivation towards something better, or to, go back. You're either spiraling up or spiraling down, right? Like I don't believe in neutral. It's like I either moved forward today or I moved backwards. And I think a lot of times, and I've definitely done this personally with drinking, or just like, chasing things that weren't over the long term going to be beneficial to me, especially because we came from a big drinking culture
Sure.
background, and from our high school. So that was something that was normal, which I don't know. I don't do it anymore. So I feel like I'm totally like removed from that.
Yeah.
I don't miss it. But so you said that you wanted to put on size. Was that your goal?
Yeah. Muscle mass, just like weight in general. And I wanted to do it, quote unquote, like the right way, what I consider my right way. Because I know people have been like, dude, just gain 10 pounds of fat, right? Like eat McDonald's every day, eat Reese's Puffs every day, ice cream. And that's definitely one way to do it. But I'll admit, like, I'm pretty vain. I was like, I ain't losing I want a 6-pack, and I want that
Yeah.
6-pack to last all the time. So
Sure.
especially again, someone who travels like I travel, even people are like, oh, wait till the winter and put on that weight. I'm like, I go to the Caribbean and I'm going to be taking Instagram pictures. So I
Yeah.
want to have a 6-pack, like as vain
Yeah.
as that. I know it sounds insanely vain, which it is, but look, that's another thing too, that I find interesting. People that rip on like, oh, you're just blah, 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 with your shirt off and blah, blah. It's like, dude, I work my ass. It's like buying, in my opinion, it's no different than having a bigger house, or a car's main objective is to get you from A to B, right? I drive a piece of shit Honda Accord that I bought on Facebook Marketplace for $4,000, but no one rips on me or rips on the guy next to me who's driving a Lamborghini, showing off how much money he has, right? Like, he's doing it because it's like, he likes the car, he worked his ass off, he earned it. This is what he likes. He's showing it off, right? For millions of people to see. And by the way, you don't even have to follow him. You just have to look outside and there it is. I have no choice. I post social media content, and yeah, when I'm at the beach, my shirt's off. I'm proud of how I look. I'm proud of the work I put in. I earned it. No one fucking gave it to me. And yeah, so I show it off for myself, for people to get motivated by, whatever you want to say, but to come at me with like, you're just doing this, like you're so self-centered and all you think about is yourself, is bullshit. Because guess what? A, you don't have to look. You can just unfollow me. B, it's no different than the person who buys the $300 like goose bird shoes that look terrible, but people are buying. Like people like show off their hard work in different ways, whether it's like their new watch at the bar, or their new shoes from their promotion, or your six pack because I went to the gym 7 days a week for a fucking year. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's a big difference, but it's funny how, social media and people view different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's coveted because like a six pack is the only reason why it has value is because it's hard to get. Like if everyone had a six pack, you're just born with a six pack. Like no one, there'd probably be no shirtless pictures of anybody.
Yeah.
Because everyone has it. Like the guy that's showing off the Lamborghini is saying, yo, what's up? Like I have this and you don't, right? And that's why it's valuable, because it's hard to get.
Absolutely.
It's almost like it's interesting you brought up the car thing, because it's almost like your body is your vehicle, right? And you have the opportunity to like soup that thing up. It's like you can turn that Honda Accord into a Lamborghini if you want to. You know what I'm saying?
It's a goal, baby. I like that.
And like you got to put the right kind of fuel in. You got to take, bring it for like oil changes and like checkups and all that kind of shit. But it's cool because like it's literally something that you're unless there's a rare situation, I mean, you're entirely in control of what kind of vehicle you're bringing around. And like I've noticed, like the nicer my vehicle gets, the other areas in my life get better, because my mental health is better. I'm showing up with more confidence. I'm getting more respect. Like a one big reason I got into weightlifting is because I felt a little bit on the small side. And I was like, I want to look good in like a t-shirt, like one of those t-shirts that like hugs you a little bit and you can see that you're like working out. And like, I want to come across as like, oh, like that guy, I don't know, look, maybe he could whoop my ass. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, I want to walk into a room with that kind of confidence, and then also get that kind of reaction from other people, and not so much like in a violent way, but in a way where they're saying, oh, this person is a disciplined person. Like you walk into like a job interview and you're in good shape, and like that, whether they make note of it consciously or not, like subconsciously, they're telling themselves like, oh, this person obviously has habits and routines and is and what? Dedication, right? And knows how to restrict certain things from their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I heard that exact thing the other day. It was like, if I'm interviewing someone and it's between the candidates, our resumes are perfect, aligned, same school, same, prerequisites, all that stuff, and one person's overweight and one person's fit, it's like, well, I'm going with the fit person because, like you just said, it shows dedication, persistence. They're not going to have as many sick days. Let's just be honest, right? I mean, my immune system from working out and running and being outside and my cardiovascular health is better than the 72% of people out there, period. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to be like, hey, I mean, yeah, could I have an emergency, this or that? Of course, it can happen. Freak accidents can happen, but there's been enough studies that, I mean, my doctor, my primary care physician said, Pete, get your heart pumping hard for 10 minutes a day, just 10 minutes a day. That's it, right? It's all you need to do at the bare minimum, 10 minutes a day for blood flow and all that stuff. So, but yeah, no, I guess to continue talking about the health thing, I'm going to be 34 this September. As I mentioned, for any single ladies watching out there, listening, I am single, but I know I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be married tomorrow. I'm not going to be pumping out kids tomorrow, because that's just where my life track is on right now. But I know I'm going to want to have that one day. I'm going to want to play with my kids. I'm going to want to be their role model. I'm going to want to be their coach in whatever sport or activity it is. And I got told this the other day by a acquaintance of mine who said, "Oh, you better start having kids soon, because you're going to get old, and you're not going to be able to play with them and all that stuff."
Right.
He probably 100 pounds overweight. He's losing his hair. There's no way he could walk 4 city blocks without huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
And I think he's like 38, 40, 41. And I'm like, I didn't say this to him because I never, again, I'm not going to be mean. I'm like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to be good. But the reality is you're the one who needs to have kids soon, because you're not going to be able to play with your kids. I'm at the point where I'm going to be trying to outlift my kids and beat them in sports till I'm 50, 60, 70 years old.
Yeah.
Why stop? Right. I mean, perfect example is my dad. My dad had me at 40, and he was my role model, or is my role model, my best friend, my coach. I mean, he coached half of our friend group, right? And he was in good shape. I mean, all of our dads were. I think that's another reason, right? A lot of people become who they surround themselves with. So I think we got super lucky with that family and friend group that we had. But no, it's a perfect example. I'm like, it doesn't matter if I pump kids out at 34 or 40. I'm going to be generally in the same health and shape and size, because I'm not going to let myself go. I'm going to continue to eat healthy. I'm going to work my ass off at the gym. And, it's something that, like you said, I have to earn it. And it's crazy how many studies, and again, actually fuck studies. I sit on the couch for days and weeks at a time. I feel like shit, period.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, whatever. I go outside and I get sunlight and I crush weights and I run and I move my body infinitely better. I don't need a fucking study to tell me that. And it's just crazy because, everyone makes these excuses and says, oh, it's because of this condition I have, or I don't have enough time, or if only it was this or only with that. And it's like, just fucking move your body and you'll be so much better. And again, I consider myself a good preacher, not a great practicer, because don't get me wrong, there's days where I don't get off from my couch, right behind where I'm sitting. And I have days of scrolling on social media or binge watching Netflix. And I'm like, go to bed that night. I'm like, man, I feel like complete shit. Today was a bad day.
Yeah.
And then if I really can just separate myself from that bad day and just look at it from a bird's eye view of like, why? I fucking had 12 Oreos throughout the day. I didn't see sunlight from my shit New York City apartment. And I didn't get outside and like get sunlight and crush weights. So like, no duh, I feel like crap.
Yeah. That's a lot of directions we could take this. I think this changed my life when I heard this concept for the first time. And I don't know who to pay homage to, but it was basically like when you're feeling in a bad state of mind, right? Like you're depressed or whatever it is. A lot of people want to go like internal, just like you don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to do anything. You kind of just push the world back, right? And it was like you almost have to use it as a compass, where it's like you're not feeling good. Like you almost have to like go in the opposite, like your body and your brain is telling you to be around people. Like you watch Netflix all day. Like, of course, like we're going to make you feel like shit because we haven't seen anybody, we haven't done anything productive. Like happiness and productivity to me are like almost equal. Um, and like to basically use that as like a directional force towards moving in the opposite direction of what I'm doing. And like you could even keep, and this is something I've done before, there's a thing called the 5-minute journal, which is like a bedtime and morning routine where at night you write down basically like, I don't know, the 3 things that went really well that day, something that you're grateful for, and then 1 thing that could have made the day better. Right. And then in the morning, I think you write down, the 3 main things you want to get done that day. There's a few different things in it, but it's very helpful to look back and be honest with yourself and be like, yeah, like the one thing I didn't, or I did that I shouldn't have been doing is like, I really wish I didn't spend so much damn time on Instagram. Right. And then at least you're making a mental note of it and being like conscious of it so you don't fall into that trap, because like you're either moving forward or backwards, and like you're either wiring your brain to like watch more Netflix, or you're wiring your brain to work out more.
Yeah.
Or do something positive.
Nope, you're 100% right. I need to adopt that strategy and that principle, because just the other week I went into my iPhone, and if you really want to scare the shit out of yourself, go into your iPhone and look at like screen time. And you're like, dude, the amount of more success I could have in any aspect of your life can be reduced, the amount of success you could have could be increased so much by just reducing that fucking number to 0 and living your actual life, right? So I went in, I saw it, I was ashamed, embarrassed, like it's fucking miserable to see that number actually spit out you. And I set the timer on social media to an hour. So I give myself an hour of Instagram a day now. And unfortunately, it's not Peter proof or child proof, or it is, because you can just fucking hit ignore for that day and keep it. So I definitely have done that. But I will say it helps me, because when I do hit ignore, it says, all right, remind you in a minute, 15 minutes, or ignore for the day. I always give myself, all right, hit the 15 minutes. And in 15 minutes will go by and I'm like, the perfect example is today. I hit my limit. We were supposed to do this podcast like probably an hour before we actually started. And because I told you I was going to the gym, I was going to be home by 5. Well, I didn't actually get off my fucking couch till like 4:45 instead of 4 when I said I was going to. And why was it? I was on social media and I hit the limit. I said, all right, time to go to the gym. But then I was like, well, there's like that. I was halfway through that video. So let me just like 15 more minutes. And then, so that added up to being, I hit it like maybe one more time. So that's 30 more minutes of bullshit. And then I finally said, oh, fuck, like I got stuff to do and stuff, put it down. And I was feeling like shit on the couch doing that. But then as soon as I got outside and went to the gym and crushed the workout, I feel infinitely better about myself. So no, you're absolutely right. Like, I like that little, what'd you do good today? What could you improve on? And because if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. Exactly what you said. I couldn't agree with you more there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isn't it funny? Like, and I know, so like we both post a lot on social media. So there's like comments, there's like DMs, like you want to see what other creators are doing. So like some of it is work, right? But also some of it is like stupid videos and memes. But even an hour, which I definitely spend an hour on Instagram. So just to be clear, that sounds like a fucking ton of time, bro.
Yeah.
Like you spend an hour in the gym. You're like, oh, like, okay, then I got another hour for Instagram.
Yeah, dude, think it. I mean, an hour a day, which the average person is well over an hour. I'm over an hour. I keep hitting ignore. I think I've gone one day. I just implemented the little timer on my phone like a week ago. I think I've gone one day where I was like, oh, it's done. Like my time's up, and I actually listened. Everything else I hit ignore. But say the average is 7 hours in just one. That's a whole night's sleep. You know what I mean? That you're wasting on fucking nonsense. But again, there has to be a balance, because especially for creators and wannabe creators and people that, because that's another thing too with social media. I was just talking to my golf buddy about this the other day. I'm talking about like generation. Like, thank God we didn't have this when we were little, because I don't know where we would all be mentally and physically, because it's such a mind fuck. But the essence of social media is a positive one, right? Like I think I've become a little bit of a better golfer because of social media, right? I've learned a little bit of tricks and tips and things like that. I know I saw Michael Schulman ask the question about my handicap, so I'll answer that while I transition to golf real quick.
Yeah.
It's currently sitting at like a 9 handicap right now for golf for pilot
Oh,
Pete.fly. But like so the essence of social media is a positive one, right? When Zuckerberg and Mr. Twitter and now Elon Musk like took over, like it's for the good. It's for getting information out there quicker. My cousins who live up in Canada, who I don't get to see every so often, I get to see their vacations and their kids growing up and family and events. That is what it's meant to be for as a whole, and it's great for that. But we obviously all know how negative it can be with not only bullying and cyberbullying and comparing yourself body wise and
mm,
God bless, heaven forbid you're a teenage woman comparing yourself to a teenage girl comparing yourself to an older woman and all the stuff that goes into it. And then just like you said, for you and I, it's just like the aimless scrolling and bullshit. So there's a fine line, right? There's no doctor or no study is going to say, hey, just do an hour a day. Well, because some people make their living
yeah.
through Instagram. They need to be on there for 5, 6, 7 hours a day, just like you would be
Yeah.
in front of the guitar or your computer doing a podcast or whatever it may be. So it's finding that balance for you as an individual. I think every single person could do less of it. And it's all excuses. We just got to be more disciplined. I'm calling myself out. I'm
Yeah.
enemy number one. I have to be more disciplined in my social media usage.
Yeah. Absolutely. And they're like, I mean, these things are designed by, engineers or whatever to keep you in the app. I know Sean Pritchard told me that I really need to see The Social Dilemma, that movie. He told me it would change my life. I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen it?
I think that's the one I saw on Netflix. I can't remember, but I do know exactly what he's talking about. Like literally the algorithms, like there is no point to TikTok except to keep you on. You don't buy anything when you're there. You don't have to pay for the
Right.
subscription.
You are the product, bro.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
only objective of the fucking app is to keep you on the fucking app.
It's so wild because I think of the when I started thinking about the Instagram Explore page, um, like you grow up and you watch TV and it's a singular screen. And now we have the Instagram search thing, and I'm like, this is just 15 television screens that
Yeah,
I'm looking at, and I'm like sifting through it. I'm like, click on it for 3 seconds, like, whatever, like exit out. Like, you're flipping through like not just one channel at a time, you're flipping through like multiple channels
yeah,
from people like all over the world posting this stuff.
yeah. It's crazy.
Definitely has its benefits, but the drawback is time. One thing I'm not doing right now, but I've done before and has definitely worked for me. I'd be interested to know if you've done this, or maybe you can do this with your job or not, but to just leave the phone on, do not disturb or airplane mode until like later in the morning. So if you get up at 7, like, okay, I decide in the beginning of the day I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to take my morning walk, or I'm going to do some work, or I'm going to whatever the hell you're going to do. And then like at 9 a.m., I'm going to like open up my phone.
Yeah.
Because I notice like when I get out of bed and I jump on Instagram, like the rest of my day, like I always want to like get back into it for whatever reason.
Get
Versus
back into Instagram.
get back on social media and whatever. But when I delay that time or delay opening the app, I'm way less likely to have high screen time in that day.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I don't know the answer, but I'm the same way because I fucking look at it first thing in the morning. It's horrible, but I think it's because the reason we want to dive back in, at least for me, is I'll only do like I'm actually pretty disciplined in the morning, I look at it for only 5 or 10 minutes. I do
Yep.
put it away. I'm like, all right, dude, get fucking out of bed. And I have had days where I haven't, where I'm like on an hour. I'm like, shit, I should probably fucking get out of bed now. But the days that I do only do 5 or 10 minutes, but you said you want to jump back in later on the day, is because you get that dopamine hit, right? You get the fucking dopamine in your body and in your brain, and you're like, dude, what happened at 8 a.m. was, again, you're not actually saying this consciously, but subconsciously, you're like, dude, you see that like video or like that idea or the colors, or my friends that listen and watch this will know what I prize on my For You page. So I want to jump back into that and see that more. And
Right.
you're like, well, what am I missing? But the opposite of that, like you were saying, is if you don't fucking look at it until, I honestly would like to go like get all my shit out of the way, right? Whether it's my job, my content creation, my gym workout, my run, my groceries, my volunteer work, my church, whatever it is. And like, we all should have a relaxation point and like a no cares in the world point, usually, around earliest 3 p.m., if not well after dinner. Do it then for the first time, right? And get your dopamine hits for like you could do, imagine if you didn't touch social media every single day until like 8 p.m. and looked at it for like an hour straight, which sounds crazy, but if you did every day 8 to 9 and then put it away and then either read your book, did your meditation, your journaling, your praying, your even your movie night with your girlfriend or your wife, or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and then went to bed at like 11 or 10 at that point, like how much more productive you would be than the bullshit like 5 minutes here, 30 minutes here, 10 minutes there, blah 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 here. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you'd be so much more productive, just in general. But again, I get it. It's addicting. It's dopamine, and for some people, it's part of their what they want to do in life, or it is part of their job, or they have to be on it more. So it's a catch-22, that's for sure.
Yeah. We're like little rats, just like in like a little rat experiment.
Absolutely.
Just got to get the dopamine. So we mentioned, so one other quick question, because I'm sure people are interested to know, because you do have a lot of shirtless pics and you look good.
Thank you.
So what is the what is the workout routine? Do you follow like a progressive overload pattern? Like how does that break down for you?
Yeah, great question again. So I lifted weights since we all started lifting weights for the most part, like 8th grade, freshman year, sophomore year, and pretty consistently through college and post college, but I never really saw any results. It was 3, 4, sometimes 5 days a week at most. And I was always doing I was doing 3 sets of 12 reps. Like that's what I was doing, like no matter what. And I want to preface this by saying I think everyone's body and genetics are different. So I don't think there's one way to lift or work out, because if there was, that would be the secret sauce, and we'd all do that, and we'd all look how our role models or the body figures that we want, we'd accomplish that. So I just realized, I started last year saying, fuck the 3 and 12. I want to put on weight. I'm going to lift heavy ass shit. I'm going to, pick heavy stuff up, put heavy stuff down. And sometimes I'll get embarrassed, right? I'll pick up 70-pound dumbbells to do overhead shoulder press, and I'll get 2, and I'll be like, well, that was way too fucking heavy, but I went for it, right? So then, yeah, I'm not an idiot. I go down to 60 or go down to 55 or 65, depending on how bad it was. But I personally want to leave the gym exhausted and like sore. And people could be like, oh, you're exhausting your muscles, or that's not good for this or not good for that. I get it. But I've told you this before, and I'll reiterate it on here. Half the reason I go to the gym, half of it is to look good and feel good physically. The other half is right here, is mentally, right? So I don't care if I'm not doing the best lifts for muscle gain or for strength gain or for losing weight or building mass, whatever. I know that when I put on 235, 240 on the bench press, and I can get that 1 or 2 times, this gets stronger.
Yeah.
It does. Like, I don't care what people say. Again, everyone some people feel better when they play video games. I feel better when I go to the gym. So like, that's what makes me feel better. That's what I'm fucking doing every single time. So to answer your question more condensed, no, I don't follow any single program. I like, what I found I like is kind of the, I don't know what it's called, but the mixed splits. So I remember growing up, it was like you do back and buys, you do chest and tries. I like doing the opposite of that. So I do back and chest, or tries and shoulders, and lower legs, and triceps or whatever. So like, I like mixing it up. And from my experience and from like my results, confusing my muscles has worked, right? Like I'll do bench, I'll hammer chest, and then I'll do biceps, which are working different muscles at different times. I'm by no means a trainer or a scientist, and I do barely any research, but I've had a good amount of people say, damn, you look better than you've ever looked physically. And that's 50% of the reason I do it. So I appreciate that. But the other 50% is here. And when I leave, like today, I did shoulders and triceps, and I feel great. And I feel like I crushed my workout. And that's, at the end of the day, that's all I compare myself to myself. So if I feel better, or I feel like I'm moving forward instead of moving backwards, like you said, and I was better than yesterday, I like that quote as well, or that tagline, it's a win.
Is there an area of your body where you work on more than others? Like, is there, like for me personally, I feel like everyone's genetics are a little different. Um, I've always had like bigger arms. Like I don't really ever work out my arms because like I feel like they just look good. But then like things like chest and my ass have been smaller. And then so it's like I'm like I really got to work on that. So I try to put them in like multiple times a week. So it's like chest day is chest day or whatever, but then like even on leg day, like I'm still going to hit some chest to just make, yeah, exactly. There you go. Just to make sure that like area is getting special attention.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, the answer coming. Yeah, it's my legs. My legs are, my parents are both, I think, African giraffes. Like they were just born, like I was born, I think it's like whatever, what's that animal behind you? A horse in that painting? Camel? Llama?
Yeah, a horse. Yeah.
A horse? I mean, my legs are not much bigger than those things right there.
Right.
Especially compared to the rest of my body, but it's always been that way. Like it's not, people like, oh, he obviously skips leg day. I have like 2 or 3 consistent workout partners here in the city, and they vouch for me. Like we were literally just in the Hamptons for 4th of July, and a girl that was visiting, a friend, was like, I was wearing a bathing suit, and she's like, do not hit legs day? Like, are you embarrassed? Like in a very friendly, kind way. She's like, do you not like do legs? Like, what the fuck? Like you have a body. And I was like, James, who works out with me, I'm like, tell her I do legs every 3rd day.
Okay, that's a lot of legs.
It's a lot of legs. Yeah. But I also I have like, my quads are getting bigger. Like they're more muscular, at least. They're not like, I also don't know any exercises. If anyone knows any exercises for your ankles, like that's like I'm so, as you know, I'm tall, right?
Yeah.
Why so tall yet so small? Like my ankles are just, my ankles are just small and skinny, and I just have skinny ass legs. And I promise to those who are concerned, because that's like DMs and comments I get from user 941017 on TikTok, is like, yo, bro, hit legs, or like, stop skipping leg day, or like, you look pathetic with your legs. I am doing legs, but in all seriousness, I do need to like focus more on them. I do them every 3rd day, but I will admit, say like there was a day of like say I was traveling to a destination and I skipped the gym that day, and it was supposed to be legs, like I'll probably do like goblet squats, and then like even like jumping air squats, but then I'll still like do a better chest day, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like mentally, my favorite day of the gym is chest. Like I enjoy doing chest. I love the way it feels. I love the way it looks. give me all the narcissist comments you want. It doesn't matter. Again, it's for the mental and the physical for me. But like chest day is just like the day I love doing push-ups. I love doing cables. I love doing bench press. Just makes me feel like powerful, So yeah, leg day is definitely the day that I need to focus on more, that I have tried focusing on more. And then I think this is Arnold Schwarzenegger's thing, but it's like, instead of wearing pants to the gym, right, to be like, I wear short, obviously I wear shorts, but this is no joke. I mean, I've never told anyone this. It's probably obvious, but I would wear high socks a lot of the time because like my legs were so skinny. I was like, all right, well, at least a little bit of it's like covered, not like knee-high socks, but like higher socks. I would never wear like no-show socks or like low-cut ankle socks. But now, I do because I don't care at this age in my life. I don't give a shit what people think of my legs so much. But B, it's like, all right, I walk past the mirror. I have a full-length mirror in my living room. I walk past it every day. Damn, those calves are skinny. Damn, those quads are skinny. It's time to do legs. So I'm with you where I'll do a chest and back day, but then I'll throw in like calf raises as well. So, and then for me, you talked about abs. For me, core is like the most important exercise. Again, narcissist, vain Peter will say, you'll think it's because, he wants to have like an 8-pack to like show off at the beach. Not going to deny that. I do like having a 6-pack, but even more so, I believe the core, everything's connected to the core. So I think having a stronger core gets you better on the squat machine, gets you better on the bench machine, gets you more pull-ups, gets you more push-ups. Like I truly longer runs, more stamina. I just think core is so important that, again, not going to ever lie and say I don't do it because I think it looks better. That's reason number one. But reason number two is I remember like a baseball coach talking about core when we were growing up, little league or in high school, whatever it was, and being like, you need a strong core to move your body. So in order to move your body more productively, have a stronger core. So I definitely do abs and core work every single day, non-negotiable.
And what's your diet look like? What's your diet look like? And another question that people want to know is, how do you manage to get your lifts in with your erratic schedule?
Okay. I'll answer the erratic schedule lifts in first, since we're talking about that. I manage it with literally Kobe Bryant's, he was on a podcast and he said it best. He goes, it's non-fucking negotiable. Like I made a contract with myself that I was going to do this day, this week, this month, this year, whether, he was talking about free throws or working out in the gym, whatever the heck it may have been. That's my, like, I didn't steal his saying, obviously, but I used that saying of non-fucking negotiable. Look, I get it. We're busy. People have kids. People have relationships they're working on, jobs, promotions, own businesses. At the end of the day, not working out for 30 minutes a day is a bullshit excuse. I don't care who the fuck you are, right? I don't care if you're the president of the United States, the president of any country, or you run a multi-billion-dollar company where you work 24 hours a day, right? Like you have time to fucking put in the work, period. And I hear it all the time because I get a lot of positive comments in social media where it's like, you're a positive inspiration. I wish I had time to do this. And I'm polite in my responses, but I'm like, look, everything you're saying is an excuse. Just like for me, the day that I was like, oh, well, I traveled today, so it was supposed to be leg day. So that's a fucking excuse. Period. End of story. It's an excuse. Stop right there. Everyone has time to do 30 air squats, or 30 minutes of air squats, push-ups, and lunges. Bang. That's a full workout. Or stretch. Stretching is also good for your physical health as well. Do yoga, meditate. Like the bullshit of like, oh, I can't get in shape so I don't have time is such malarkey. It is like, there's no excuses. Yeah, I have a pretty liberal schedule in the sense of how many days a week and a month I work. I get that. So I definitely have no excuses, but the days where I'm flying red eyes, so red eyes like backside the clock, which I do a lot. I just flew the other day from Colombia, from Bogota, Colombia to Medellin, Colombia to Miami. I got my phone call to wake up at 11 p.m. that night. We departed at 1:30 a.m. local time. I landed in Miami at like 8 a.m. local time and was in the hotel bed at like 9:15, 9:30 a.m. Obviously, I'm exhausted. I haven't really slept well. I need to sleep. So I get my 3, 4, 5 hours. I wake up. I'm still not eight. It's during the day, sleep. Your body's all cranked. I have every excuse not to go to the gym, right?
Right.
Every excuse. But what do? I go to the fucking gym. And is it the best workout? No. Do I feel great after it? Absolutely not. But I got my body moving. I got my heart pumping, got the blood flowing, and I accomplished something. I accomplished something that I set out to do, non-negotiable. So I don't really have a great answer for how I do it with my crazy schedule. I just do it is like the number one thing. People talk about motivation. I'm not really motivated a lot of the days. I listen to people who are better than me at their relative and at their profession or their job. Like Michael Phelps is like, you know how many days I had where I didn't want to get in the pool and eat 4,000 calories to like maintain my weight? He goes like every other day. But for like 4 years, he did that, and everyone knows who he is, obviously, and what he accomplished. So if you want those results, you got to put in that work, right? It's just like you said, it's coveted to have a six pack because everyone knows how hard it is. It takes time and discipline. I just get it done. So whether it's the gyms are closed, obviously the gyms are most gyms are closed between, if I got home at 11 p.m. at night from a work flying across country from LA to New York, my gym will be closed. Well, everyone has enough room in their living room to put down a yoga mat or a towel and do 100 jumping jacks. Hopefully, depending on what your goals are, but I can, I crank out 50 push-ups and then I do 30 air squats and repeat that 4 times. It takes me 7 to 12 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sweaty. It's not the best workout. I'm not going to be ripped, jacked, definitely not tan or have a six pack from it, but I accomplished something, right? So tomorrow when I wake up, I don't feel like a piece of shit. I'm already moving forward. Just like what you said, that's like the theme of this whole thing is like, let's keep moving forward. So that's how I accomplished that. And then your second question was diet. Yeah, I never was a bad eater. Like I said, I'm blessed to have the upbringing I had. We ate good. My mom was a good cook. My dad's a good cook. I'm a decent cook. My diet consists definitely a lot of meat. I think you see it on my stories and stuff a lot. I eat meat for 3 reasons. 1, I love the taste. It's fucking delicious. Steak is delicious. 2, a big reason I progressed in my body. I don't want to say transformation because like I don't think it's been that dramatic of a change. Because I see myself every day, but people who haven't seen me in a while say I've been doing good. I think hitting your protein goals to put on mass, to put on size is so important. I don't count macros. I don't even know what they are, honestly. I don't count that. I don't count calories. I just, because I'm lazy, I forget to. But my big thing is I want to eat a lot of calories and eat a lot of protein. That's the only thing I care about. And I don't want to do it with like just protein shakes. Like I do 2 supplements I take are protein, whey protein and creatine on days I work out. But at 109, I fluctuate between 190 and 195 pounds. My goal is to be like 200, just like brick mass at 6'4". I think it's definitely obtainable. And from what I was told from multiple trainers and different like body composition tests and that I've done is I need to eat the weight I want to be in protein. So if I want to be 200, I got to be eating at least 200 grams of protein a day. That's a fucking shit ton of protein. So I get maybe 75 grams of it via supplements, right? Like 2 protein shakes with a little bit of extra on top protein wise. So I still have 125 grams to go. So my diet is like, all right, have I hit the protein? No. So I'll literally cook up myself like 2 8-ounce fillets and hammer those down for dinner. But if you're interested in hearing my daily intake of food,
Yeah.
So I usually do 2 to 3 eggs over medium to start in the morning with a small 1 scoop protein shake, um, a bagel with butter and chicken sausage. So the reason all of that is in there is the eggs are for protein. The chicken sausage is definitely for protein. The bagels is for like energy, like carbs, and just like, again, I'm trying to put on weight, right? So like I want to put on, that's like the unhealthy, but like also energy that it can give me for me at least. And I dab like peanut butter on there because again, just like I've heard it's good for like adding on weight. And then the protein shake is to help me with that. So that's my breakfast usually. If I'm lucky, it's before 10, but those listening or watching know I usually wake up past 10, which is pretty pathetic, but that's what it is. That's another goal of mine, is to get better at that. But I digress. For lunch, pound of bison. I'd get it from Whole Foods. It's $10.99. It's a little bit on the pricier side than beef. It's more tender, so it tastes better, and it's has a lot more protein in it than beef, ground beef. So I've been hammering. I get a pack of it. I have like 3 in my fridge right now. I'll do that with a pack of white rice, and I'll just mix it in, and I'll put sriracha on it, and I'll just hammer that down. Now I'm getting close to like my goals, and I still have dinner to go. And then for dinner, it's either 2 top sirloin steaks from Trader Joe's, so it's almost like it's like close to 20 ounces of beef, or it's 2 fillets. I wish it was fillets every day. They're just, as you know, filet mignon is a pretty expensive cut, so I'm not rolling the dough to eat filet mignon every night. But yeah, I'm eating red meat easily 7 days a week, but usually it's mostly twice a day for 7 days a week.
Nice. The protein goals are hard to hit.
Dude,
when they start to track it and they're like, yeah, dude, I ate 87 grams of protein. I'm like, well, how much do you weigh? Like 187. So like, you need another 100 grams. And they're like, how do I get it?
I know.
It's crazy. I mean, on a carnivore diet, I don't track anything because I know I'm getting 200 plus. I mean, like that's literally all I'm eating is protein and fat. But when you have other things in there that are filling you up, it's definitely harder.
Do you think, because if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, for breakfast, go back a month ago.
Yeah.
For breakfast, all you were having is coffee.
Right.
0 grams of protein.
Correct.
And you're going to lunch and you're usually having a steak.
Yeah.
We'll call, how many grams are in that steak? 40 at most?
I would say 100 probably.
101 steak? No, either my math is wrong or no way it's 100. Is it? How many ounces of steak was it?
At least 16.
So 16th ounce piece. Okay, that's fair, because I guess 1 fillet. Well, let's hold on 1 second.
Okay.
I want to do the math on this.
Okay.
So in my fridge, what I have right now is 2 filet mignons. It is how many ounces? It's 1 pound.
Right.
There's 22 grams per serving. And it's 4 ounces per serving. So 4, it's times 4, yeah?
Yeah, 88.
So 88 for these 2 steaks. So 6, so yeah, you're close. Yeah, 100, 88, yeah. And then just so the people can see, ground bison, this is 4 servings, 23 grams. So 23 times 4.
92.
92. So yeah, I pound this for lunch and this for dinner. So and again, when I say that, that's like on my like focused, no work, because if I'm traveling, if I'm flying from Colombia to Miami, I can't cook my own food. This isn't with me, right? So this will be like, I had 3/4 of one of these today, and then this will be my dinner when we're done with this. So I'll get close. I'll get close to those days. Let me put that in the fridge.
Yeah. I think it's typically hard because like when people add steak, they're doing like 4 ounces or 6 ounces or something like that. And they're having like rice and other stuff on the side.
Yeah.
But I typically do, I would say probably on average 2 pounds a day. And then a day that I'm really hungry or had a really hard workout, I'll eat much more than that. So I
Yeah.
guess more accurately, it might be like 180 grams of protein.
But the more I think, do you take any supplements? No
No.
protein, nothing.
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's not carnivore. Yeah, yeah, okay, it makes sense. Then yeah, there you go. Actually, now I think about it, I'm definitely hitting like, because I'm not good at tracking it. I just try to eat protein, protein, protein. But now
Yeah.
that I think about it, if I have two regular size shakes, 25, that's 50 grams of protein, 25 in each. And then I just told you what I eat there. So I'm over the 200 minute there. But that's why I have, like I said, I don't see it as much, but like I ran into a friend the other day in Brooklyn for a birthday party. And he's like, dude, you look fucking great. Like you look big. And I'm like, thanks, man. Like, you know,
Sick.
yeah. I'm like, hell yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you do, man.
Thank
I
you.
feel like I feel like I'm certainly in the best shape of my life, and it's nice to
Definitely.
get there at a age where you think you're already past being able to do something like that. And I feel like that's the same for you.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, like we are, we're getting older. We're not getting younger. That's for sure. But
Yeah.
to know that I'm in just as good a shape as any 25-year-old walking down the street, makes me feel better about myself because I'm like, dude, I can still hang. Like I'm good.
Right. Yeah. It
I
does.
can't hang it. You mentioned earlier, I just want to talk about that real quick too, if you don't mind, is the drinking. I
Yeah.
definitely still drink. But the amount that I drink and the amount of times I drink and how much I drink has changed 180. Like it's crazy. I used to every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I wasn't binge drinking by any means. Oh, by definition, I probably was. I think anything over like 2 drinks an hour is like considered binge drinking by whatever organization, but that's bullshit. What I mean by binge drinking is like fucking having like 10 beers every night. That's like real binge drinking for me, at least for us, for what we grew up with.
Right.
And I completely cut that out. Like I drink now if there's a purpose. So if I'm at a wedding, I'm getting fucking bombed. Like I love getting drunk. I'm not afraid to admit it. Getting drunk is one of my favorite pastimes. But I value the gym, waking up not hungover, going for runs, not eating like shit when I am feeling hungover. I value that more than getting drunk. So that's why I said like it has to be a special occasion. 4th of July, I was in the Hamptons. I got fucking bombed and it was a lot of fun and we had a great time. And I don't regret it at all. But did I feel like shit when I got back on after the weekend? Absolutely. I haven't drank since we were just at a birthday party for a friend. And it was just like, I want to see everyone. That's all I was there for, is to just see everyone, interact with them. And I did. And I got a beer and had like half of it.
Mhm.
Because for me, it's like, I don't like the taste of alcohol. I don't like how it makes me feel. If it doesn't drastically enhance the experience, it's a no for me.
Did you change what you drink?
A little bit. Yes and no, because I have Googled that. Like, hey, trying to gain weight or get shredded at the gym, what should I drink? You know what I mean? And beer is really bad because just full of nasty. Like they say like vodka waters, tequila sodas, or just tequila water rock, obviously on the rock. But I hate the taste of that shit. So like I will do tequila soda, vodka sodas. But like high noons, which are like probably really high in like artificial sweeteners and stuff like that. I still love drinking, not love, I do drink those still. So no, to answer your question, no, I didn't really change what I drink. Because my favorite drink is still strawberry daiquiri. So I'll still hammer a strawberry daiquiri when I'm down in the Caribbean. And that's obviously shit ton of sugar and like no, by no means good for you. But it's strictly the quantity and how often I partake. Like I'm trying to think of what's coming. Like next weekend is like a friend's birthday out in LA, and I'm flying out specifically for that. I'm gonna get drunk. Like it's a no brainer. I'm flying out for it. It's part of why I'm going out there, and I'm personally okay with that. I know that when I get drunk on the Saturday, Sunday I'm flying back, I'm going to be miserable. I'm not going to get like a workout in, a good one at least. Hopefully I sleep on the plane. I won't be flying the plane, by the way, people, just so you know. I'll be a passenger in the back. I'll come home and I'll do like my non-negotiable at least 10 push-ups and like 20 sit-ups. And then I'll like go to shower and go to bed and go and be like, hey, I did something.
Right. Solid. So there's a let's see. I forget what this dude's name was. I thought I wrote it down. But someone that knows you
Okay.
asked this question. It's an aviation question, I guess.
Okay.
What's your biggest regret in your aviation journey?
Ooh, wow. I wish you had the name. That's a great question.
I'll look it up while you're going.
Okay. My biggest regret in my aviation journey.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the cop out answer is like, oh, I don't have any regrets, live life, yada, yada, yada. I would say it's not going to be my answer.
No, Branson Price.
Okay.
He said he connected with you.
Gotcha. Yeah. I would say my biggest regret would be a couple of my pilot buddies know this, but I bought the book. So my biggest regret, to sum it up, and then I'll piggyback off of it, is not joining like the Air Force Reserves, and then like at least getting the opportunity to try out, for lack of a better term, to qualify to fly like fighter jets. So like flying like an F-16 and these like planes that we all see at air shows and stuff, right? Like Top Gun shit would be pretty fucking badass. And I would never, I would say never, but I didn't want to join like the Air Force and have the commitment to them for like the 8 years or 12 years or whatever. Navy, or Marines or any branch of the military personally, like full time. I knew I wasn't going to do that. So I went to college, got my degree in aviation, and between the age of like 25 and I think 32, 33 might be the cutoff. I think I'm just missing it right now. You can join what's called the Air Force Reserves. And it's basically the same thing as active military, but you're on reserve. So like a war breaks out, you obviously get called in, right? Instead of doing a draft like they did for Vietnam. So anyway, long story short, I had two really good college friends from Arizona State who were just miserable at their regional airline job, flying these little 50-seater jets from like podunk to podunk place, because you make bullshit money and the job can kind of be grueling. So they said, hey, I'm going to take a leave of absence from that and do Air Force Reserves, where you train, you go through basic training, and you go through pilot school. And at the same time, you're still job protected from your current job because you're serving eventually what will be in the military for the government. So they went through it, and both of them now fly C-17s. Those are these massive fucking tanker airplanes that can fly for like 28 hours. They've been all over the world, and it's just like a pretty cool gig that they have. Well, in order to start that process, you have to go see a recruiter at one of your local offices. So I went to Paramus, New Jersey, went to see a recruiter. I was already a pilot. So he's like, dude, you're a walk-in, you'll definitely get great, because I already have the skill set that it takes to fly, but you got to take this, whatever the test is called. I forget what it's called, but it's like the military's version of like the SAT or the MCAT or whatever to get in. Then you have to go to basic training. Every single person, whether you're David Goggins or my friend on reserve, you have to go through basic training. So I'm reading the book. It's like we'll call it the MCATs for lack of a better term, for dummies. I bought it at Barnes and Nobles, and I'm reading like the introduction to how this test is going to work and what I have to prepare for and blah, blah, blah. And like the third page was like basic training. It's 52 weeks. It's, at one of these bases in Texas or Alabama, they shave your head, you eat like ketchup packets. And I was like, whoa, wait, what? Like 52 weeks? I was like, again, I looked at it in the micro. I was like, that's fucking a year, right? Yeah. I didn't look at it like long-term. I was like 26 when I was reading this, probably. So whatever, 8 years ago. And I was like, shave my head? Like what? Like, I like my head of hair. And I was just like, I don't think this is for me. And I like closed the book. It's probably still at my parents' house. And that was kind of like the end of like the dream of flying, you know, a badass airplane, to say, for lack of a better term. So I guess my biggest regret would be that and I think subconsciously I was like, you know, old jokes aside with the whole shaving your head and basic training, I didn't think I was mentally or physically tough enough to do it.
Hmm.
I really didn't. I really didn't. Like David Goggins wasn't on my social media 8 years ago. You know, he was just going through his own thing. So I didn't have like I didn't have his motivational speeches. I didn't have the maturity and the confidence in myself as a man to be like, you can do that shit, you know, because I'm a firm believer in, if you want to accomplish anything in this world, I mean, literally anything, minus like, you know, the NBA, because if you're born 5'4", like you'll probably never get it. But there's like very, 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 very few things in this world that if you want to accomplish, you can absolutely accomplish. I believe that to no end now at 33, having gone through my little small personal growth journey that I have been in the last year.
I never knew that story, man.
Yeah, I have about the military one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that to answer the question, that would probably be my biggest regret. Like to fly the fighters, you had to be like top of your class, you know. So there's definitely no guarantee that I would have been able to, but like I didn't even give myself the shot, you know, and now I'm like just aging out. I think 33 is like the last year you can do it, because by the time you go through training, I wouldn't be like, it'd be 3-4 years from now, and they don't want 45, they can't have 45-year-olds who are losing, you know, who need reading glasses and all this shit. So yeah, that's probably my aviation regret.
I got a good question for you. And
Shoot.
you've answered this for me personally, but
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people would like to know the answer to this. So the situation is, I'm on a flight, right?
Yeah.
You're not the pilot, okay?
Wrong.
The pilots become incapacitated,
Correct.
okay? And they're like, we need someone to land this plane, right? I volunteer and I get into the cockpit,
Yep.
and I get a hold of you on the phone.
Go ahead. Okay.
What are the chances that you can walk me through that situation to land the plane? Just over the phone.
Yeah.
I got zero knowledge, by the way.
Yes.
I don't know
Yes.
what any of that. I know there's a yoke, and I
Yep.
know there's like a bunch of other compass looking things.
Yes. I would say 70% landing survival rate. And
Crazy.
I have to address that. If it was, so I fly a Boeing 767. That airplane can auto land. So if you press the right buttons and get it in the right position, it will auto land itself. Like pretty freaking incredible, right? So if you're on a Boeing 767, which I know every little button, the ins and out of, and we were able to communicate over the phone, over the radio, and we had plenty of gas, I could walk you through manipulating it's a big video game at the end of the day. That's all it is. It's a huge ass, very expensive video game. I could walk you through, as long as your nerves were like eventually controlled, I could walk you through doing that. Now, there's another airplane called the CRJ, which is a CRJ 900 or 200, these small little commuter jets that you will fly from like Raleigh, Durham to say like Charlotte. Those are the ones that get you in between like small cities. Now, a CRJ does not have auto land. The percentage of that goes down to about 2% that you're gonna survive in land,
Okay.
maybe even less, because, and I have data to back that up. My senior year of college at Arizona State, good friends of ours, good friends of the program, Ryan Hollander, Terry Carroll, and Chris Battaraco came out to visit me. We went to the flight school. We had a flight simulator there, one that like moves and all that stuff. And we did this exact thing. I was like, all right, I'm going to fly it up there, you know, put it at 5,000 feet. Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport is 20 miles straight ahead. I'll say I didn't really walk. I just sat there, right? I was incapacitated. they all red screen. So what red screen means in aviation is
Ah,
simulators crash and die. So they all red screen. None of them survived.
okay. And what if I could get you on FaceTime so you could see
Oh,
what I was messing with? Like, what's
yeah.
the percentage with the Boeing and the CRJ?
So again, I don't think the FaceTime doesn't help with the non-auto land because like it's just a skill set that
Uh-huh.
you don't possess because you don't never flown an airplane.
Okay.
Um,
It's like driving stick for the first time or something.
yeah, yeah,
That
but
would be a lot harder.
not even not harder. I won't say harder. I won't. It's like rude of me to say harder. It's just a lot. Like you get one opportunity. Like you stall with stick. It's like, all right, turn the car, put it in neutral, start it up, and go. It's
Yeah.
like you're gonna stall, right? So it's like you're gonna stall that car your first time driving stick. Period. Well, your first and only chance to land this plane, you only get one shot. You're dead. So that's why, yeah. But to answer your question, FaceTime, then I would put it up to like 90% with the Autoland airplane.
Okay.
Really, it's like boop, 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 and you're there.
Amazing that thing can do that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. So, but I will say this, just because I think this is the important part, is obviously there's no like cell service up there, right? Say at 30,000 feet, they go, the hardest part, getting into the cockpit would be the hardest part because they're locked down at both pilots. But say the door was open, you got in. The hardest part, so I tell everyone, is talking to the outside world. So finding out where the fucking radio is and how to transmit would be your biggest hurdle to cross to succeed. So if you knew where the button was to be like, hey, help, 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 both pilots are dead. My name is Justin. I'm just taking over. Help, help, help. Right?
Yeah.
You're 90% there to getting to that 70% rate.
Right. Okay.
That
Understood.
makes sense. You need
There's
to
a
know.
chance you never get there.
Yeah, because I mean, every pilot in the world knows where the transmit button is, but it's not like a big ass button that says like radio is this button, press here.
Mhm.
It's abbreviated like PTT, push to talk. So you're
I
not going to know that. And
see.
there's, as you've seen probably in pictures, movies, or even looking in the cockpit, there's a million buttons and switches and lights.
Right.
That would be your hardest part. So I would tell people this: learn where the radio button is, and then
Yeah.
you're halfway home.
Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah, that's wild, man. Um, let's see if we covered all the other social media questions. What's it like flying for a major? How is time off compared to time on? Oh,
Uh,
that was actually Branson. Someone else gave me the biggest. I don't know who that guy was. Anyway,
okay. So what a major is, so for those of people who don't know, a major airline are like the big ones that you know of. So like Delta, United, American, UPS, FedEx, Southwest, those are considered majors. The non-majors, like regional airlines, are airlines you never heard of, like Air Wisconsin, Trans-States, Pinnacle. Those are the airlines that fly under like Delta Connection or like American Eagle, those little 50-seat CRJs I was referring to earlier. So to answer that question, what it's like flying for a major, it's great because the pay is better, benefits are better, the retirement's better, healthcare is better, everything's just better when you go to a better company, right? So it's great flying for a major. As far as the second part of the question was days off.
how is time off compared to time on?
Okay, so yeah, I say people ask me this question all the time. I average 15 to like 17 days of work a month. So I'm flying 15 to 17 days a month, the rest I'm off. Now people can be like, well, that's crazy. You're making a full-time pay and benefits with working a half job. But people don't remember though, or don't think of is like when I fly down to Miami, I'm not home. So
Yeah.
when 95 Jim Smith comes home from his job, he's home with his family, his kids, and he can cook his own dinner and sleep in his own bed. I can't do that. When I'm gone for those 15, I'm gone.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of how you kind of have to think about it. So don't get me wrong, I would never change it for the world. I love my job. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. I love the schedule. As a single 33-year-old, I actually enjoy working. I just worked in a 12-day trip. So I was gone for 12 days, which gets lonely, gets tiring. Halfway through day number 6, I was ready to come home, but pushed through it, got it done. And now I'm off for the rest of the month. Like that's pretty cush. So pros and cons to every job. Again, if there's the best job out there, we'd all do it. If there's the best airline to be out flying for, we'd all do it. There is none. You just got to make best of what you have.
I got two more questions for you on
Yeah,
this,
shoot, baby.
this aviation stuff. Um, is the Earth flat?
I don't really know the answer to that, but no, from everything, I'm not a conspiracy guy. I grew up with a globe. When I'm flying at 36,000 feet or 40,000 feet, um, I guess I can see a curve. I don't really know actually, but no, I don't think it is.
Okay, okay. And like, what do most pilots like? Or do you have any? I guess I want to ask about aliens.
Okay.
You ever see anything weird out there, or did like other pilots ever tell you about anything that they've seen?
I've definitely seen weird stuff before people jump down my throat or go on CNN or Fox News talking about Peter is claiming he's seen aliens. I don't know the solar system that well, and I don't like understand like shooting stars and satellites. So like,
Right.
I'll be like, oh, like I'll be flying at 40,000 feet. Like I grew up in New Jersey, like as you did, obviously. I live in New York City. Seeing a star is pretty rare with all the pollution and shit. So at 40,000 feet flying over the Rockies on a beautiful night, it'll be all of these stars, and I'll be like looking out the window. I'll be like, whoa. And then like something will move, and I'll be like, whoa, like what the fuck?
Right.
Like, is that an alien spacecraft? And the guy or girl, another the pilot I'm flying with, will say, no, like that's just like a shooting star. Like it happens all the time. Like, oh, I just like never see him, like don't understand.
Right.
Or that's like the International Space Station. Like you see that while you're flying at 40,000 feet because we're 6 miles above the ground, you know? So yeah, no, I'm not a ghost guy. I'm not a spirits guy. I'm not an alien guy. I do believe since our universe is infinite and we haven't come close to scratching the surface, I do believe there's another Earth-like, you know, beings and out there, but not you and I and our generation will never know they exist because it's so far away from where we've been able to discover so far.
That's cool. Yeah, I think it's funny when you see like these people get all riled up about like they have UFOs, they have all this stuff, and then it's always some grainy ass photo
Yeah.
of like some weird thing that kind of looks like a light or something. I'm like, if aliens were on Earth, like supposedly they crashed in someone's backyard like a month ago or something, and there's like this group of like country folk that were like yelling about it and riled up, and the cops were talking about it. And I'm like, everyone is connected to this device.
Yeah.
It's like, why wouldn't there be a clear video or photo? Like the photos of UFOs haven't gotten better in like 100 years.
And this is my biggest gripe with those alien conspiracies. And like we didn't go to the moon conspiracies. And this is my dad. I remember learning about like conspiracies when I was first, you know, like middle school or whatever. And my dad, this is something that my dad told me that I firmly believe. He goes, if it was true, right? If say there were aliens that people like Area 51, we've all heard of Area 51, there's aliens there, spacecraft there. We also all work, most of us work in corporations and have jobs with companies. We've all been disgruntled employees before, right? And we've all quit and retired or gone to our deathbeds or whatever. Why wouldn't that person who's about to die or like, fuck that, you know, government now because they treated me poorly or, you know, didn't grant me my vacation time when I asked for PTO away from the aliens. Why wouldn't they come out and like, or make a burner account and tweet about it and post about it and be like, oh, I don't know who, there's no way
Right.
something that big. Like again, say the moon landing was fake. There were more than 20 people on the fake moon landing project, right? They're all in their 80s, 90s. Some of them are dead by now. Why wouldn't that one grandma or grandpa be like, tell their kids while they're about to die, like, hey, by the way, the moon landing's fake. Here's the documents. Do what you want with it. I'm dead.
Right. It's hard enough to keep a secret with one person.
That's what I'm saying. And all
Imagine
these,
like 5,000 people. And it's not like they're like this elite group that like, you know, billionaires and stuff that do things in
exactly.
shadowy places. They're like regular people, like a
Exactly.
$65,000 salary, like you said. It was like, I'm tired of not being fucking respected in this place.
Yeah. Or they're retired.
They have to have a janitor at Area 51.
That's what I'm saying.
There's all levels of people.
Exactly. Not to mention not disgruntled or not, you know how much more money you can make coming out with like the tapes and the audio and the undercover and the cell phone pics of the aliens or the fake moon landing. You could be
Right.
on every podcast, news channel, and become a billionaire.
Yeah. Book deal.
Exactly. So it's all bullshit. These people are just
It's fun, but yeah, it's
it's
nutty.
definitely yeah.
That was a fun one. Who was the more dynamic Blue Jays player?
Oh, damn, great question.
Dynamic. Interesting choice of the word. I thought dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Here, I think that's actually now that you mentioned it. I think great overall history of Blue Jays or between me and you,
I think it's between us.
between us. I mean, I think dynamic, which dynamic means like multifaceted. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I
I
took it.
I would say me. I would say overall, whether it was
I-
pitching, catching, fielding, first base, shortstop, hitting, I was more dynamic. But to get off my high horse, I mean this genuinely, you were the better player. You could throw harder, you could hit better, you were faster, you could steal more bases, which I guess would be more dynamic now that I think of it, the more I think about it. But I feel like I always say I want to start like a TikTok as like the most average person in the world. I feel like I can do everything good.
Right, right.
I don't know if everyone thinks that about themselves. Like I'm looking at Mario Kart right now, and like I'm really good at Mario Kart, but I'm not the best. And
Yeah,
like I'm really good at like weightlifting, but I'm obviously not the best. And like I'm a good pilot, but I'm definitely not the best. And like I was a good baseball player, but I was definitely not the best. And like with like I just feel like I was very good. Or golf's another one. Like I'm a 10 handicap, can fluctuate to an 8. Like I'm good at golf to people that are really bad or
right,
average, but I'm shitty to people that are really good. You know what I mean? So like I feel like I could play every position on the Blue Jays good, but I was never going to be the first round draft pick.
right.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, man. And I feel like it's a cause for ADD because, like, as someone, it's like, okay, I feel like I can do a lot of things well. Not every, I mean, actually, it's a very small amount of things. If you think about like all the things that people are
True.
possibly good at, like engineering, no fucking idea.
Coding.
Science, no like throw the healthcare, like throw the whole thing out the window.
Yeah, you're right.
Like sports and like interests, like things that I'm really, really interested in, I'll like do a deep dive because I'm like, oh, I could be good at this. And then I'll get like obsessed with it. And then like something else will show up and I'm like, oh, I want to get good at that too.
Yeah.
But
No, you're
supposedly
right.
you can only be like good at one thing, you know,
Yeah. I
like
mean, it's like
really good, like world class.
10,000 hour rule, right? Like you
Yeah.
dedicate. If I was to play Mario Kart N64 for 10,000 hours, I'd be the fucking best in the world.
Yeah. Major waste of time.
Yeah, probably.
All right. So unless you want to add anything else, I would say like a good question to end on is because primarily, you know, we've talked a lot about fitness and diet and health and mental health. Like, what would you say to somebody right now who might be struggling in their life or who's at a down point and is searching for some sort of motivation to get up and get back after it and improve their life?
Yeah, that's I've said great question a lot. It's a fantastic question. I'll start by saying this. I've been there, and not to put myself as this like big persona or important person, but on the outside, I'm just talking about myself, especially via social media. You could be like, wow, that guy has the life. He's living in New York City as a bachelor, as a pilot, as a looks good physically, can public speak, can talk to people, has friends, has dates, has girls in his DMs, blah, blah, blah. All this high praise shit, right? Even though on the outside, it may look like that person has it all. And again, I'm just talking about myself, doesn't mean it's true. And I'll get vulnerable for a second and say, at times people have told me, wow, man, you're living the dream, you're living the life because of everything I just mentioned. But the fact was, I was in like the lowest, darkest, most depressed time of my life sometimes at different points in my life. And it can be scary. And for that person who is like, man, I wish I could have the confidence or the motivation to go to the gym or have a cool job or be able to travel, just because you see that from other people out there, especially on social media, on Netflix and all that stuff, doesn't mean that they're not as down or depressed or anxious than you are right now. And the reason I say that is because we love to compare ourselves in this world and society. I think just human beings and nature, it's so easy to do so. It's almost like a natural thing to compare yourself. And doing that creates this, puts you down deeper, because I know when I was in like a really, really tough time in my life, I was doing exactly that. I was looking at my ex-girlfriend and seeing where she was traveling to. And I was looking at my friends who were happy and what they were doing on the weekends. And I was like, if I could only get to that point, I would be okay. And the truth is, like, and this is such a, you hear it all the time, like only time heals wounds and you just got to put in the work and only you can change you. But it's so fucking true that when I am in those valleys and those ruts, the things that bring me up and get me moving forward, I've mentioned it a few times already on this podcast, but like, I'm a man of faith, so I rely on a higher power, which is God for me. I don't think it has to be God for everyone, though. It can be any religion. It can be whatever you want to kind of shed your insecurities towards. So I rely on God a lot to be like, look, I talk to him as I would be talking to you, Justin. I'm like, look, I'm having a bad day because of this, that, and this. Like, please take these burdens off my shoulders. Please help me to get out of my apartment today. Help me like get happy somehow. And that tends to help, to know that like I'm not in full control, that someone more powerful than me is in control of that for my life. So I can kind of be like, okay, he's taking care of my burdens. All I need to do is just walk outside today. It's all I need to do. And I accomplished a goal. I got better. I moved forward. So the person that's struggling mentally or physically, it's just get started. Just get started with one little thing. And it could be the dumbest little thing, like literally walking around a city block takes 47 seconds to do, but it can be the biggest struggle. And it was for me, this time last year, putting on a pair of sneakers and, opening my door, going to my elevator, going down and walking around the block felt impossible. It sounds insane, but it felt almost impossible. And I did it one day, maybe after a couple of days or a couple of weeks of just like feeling sorry for myself. I finally just did it. I just made a commitment that like, hey, nothing's ever going to change or get better if I don't do something. So let me go for that one circle around the block. Did it mend my heart? Absolutely not. Did it get me better physical shape? Nope. Did I feel better about myself and like I'm happy all of a sudden? No, absolutely not. But knowing that I did something more and I progressed more than what I did yesterday or the hour before showed that like I'm still alive and that I can do this, right? Like I can tomorrow go to the gym, or I can tomorrow like put away my phone and stop scrolling social media, or I can make that phone call to a friend to be like, dude, I'm not doing well. I need help, right? Like strong people, men and women, need help too. So like asking for help can be the hardest, scariest thing to do. But once you do it, like it can help tremendously. And we know this from each other, Justin and I, obviously personally, what that can do for your mental health. And again, I get it. Not everyone has that support system, but I've reached out to people that I talk to once a year, being like, hey, like I'm not, because sometimes going to your close friends is tough because you're embarrassed or you don't want to burden them with your own issues or concerns. So I'll reach out to pretty much fucking strangers and be like, hey, this is what I'm going through. I feel like I'm at rock bottom. Any way you can help would be appreciated. And it does wonders for you to know that, because they'll give you stories about how it helped them, meaning, oh, wow, another person who I thought had it all, married, 3 kids, driving these cars, living in this big house with a pool, has the best job. Wait, they were down in the dumps. They were depressed. They were upset for a little bit. Yeah, look, I can do this. Look what he or she did to overcome that. Mm. And that, so I guess to kind of bring it all in to that person that's feeling like that is, we all feel that way. I kid you not. Like, again, I get all these messages that are like, dude, that's what I want to live your life. I want to live your life. If they had messaged me that 3 days ago, or the last day that I wasn't feeling on top of the world, my response in my head would be like, you don't want to be what I'm feeling right now. It's miserable, but no one sees that, right? So know that you're not alone, that help is out there, whether you drastically need help with, getting counseling. I shouldn't say the word drastically, but say you need to make bigger steps, like I've seen a therapist, putting it out there, vulnerable, 100% Pete. I've seen a therapist multiple times in my life. My therapy now is like going for walks with my local priest. Him and I have a good relationship, and we walk around the city together. That's like good therapy for me. But asking for help, going to get help if you need it is huge. But even if you're not willing to make that step yet and like book an appointment or talk to a professional, reaching out to anyone in your contacts will help. And then to make that first step to progress, to start moving forward, to get away from moving backwards, is make a little to-do list with just one thing that's so simple. I'm going to walk around the block tomorrow, or I'm going to wake up before 8, or I'm going to not use social media before 10 a.m. tomorrow. And if you change one of those negative behaviors for a positive one, you're on the right track, and you just start building momentum and stacking blocks and stacking wins and stacking successes one on top of the other. And literally you can change yourself from being not moving off the couch, not getting out of bed, being depressed, anxious all the time, miserable with your mental, physical, and spiritual health, to in a year's time, and even less, being the best shape of your life, having the most fun with friends, having maybe even a better relationship with a partner that you're looking for, in a romantic setting. Things will change if you just make that little first step. So I think the biggest point for me is knowing that, like, I'm trying to think of someone who I'm like, wow, they have it all. Chris Hemsworth, fucking jacked, movie star, rich beyond all belief. He's married, so he doesn't like get all the girls, but like has it all, right? Like, there's not a guy out there that wouldn't be like, damn, that's the guy I want to be. I wish I was him, right? You don't think he has fucking depressed days, anxious days where he doesn't want to move his body? Absolutely. Knowing that, for me at least, helps me know that I'm not crazy. It's not going to last forever. And I can do this, because look at the successful people out there that have gotten over they've obviously done it way better and for longer than I have. But even the people, just everyday people I see on the street, I know they're going through shit. So I know if they're walking outside today, I can walk outside today.
That was well said, man.
Thank you. I hope it made sense. I hope I wasn't rambling too much.
No, it does make sense. Get that one thing, just move in the right direction, even if it's a very, very small little miniature thing that you're going to do to little success, and then over time they'll compound,
Yep.
right? Compound interest, like, isn't it the eighth wonder of the world? Well, where can people stay in touch with Pilot Pete? Where can they find you online?
Yeah. Instagram, pilotpete.fly. I answer all my DMs. So feel free to hit me up there. If you follow my account, I see the DMs a little bit quicker, but anything aviation, fitness, mental health, or you want to, slide in and say, hey, how you doing? It's all DMs are the way to do it on IG, TikTok as well. I don't really see them as much, so it's much easier via Instagram, but TikTok, pilotpete.fly as well. And then YouTube, we've slowed down YouTube because of certain things happening in my life. Justin knows why, but they're about to start popping up again, start with some shorts, but we'll get back to some long form content, which I'm looking forward to. That's Pilot Pete Fly as well. But yeah, DMs on Instagram are definitely the easiest way. And again, aviation, obviously I love talking about. Fitness, I'm by no means a trainer or a guru, but if you want to know about that, happy to help. But the real one, and I mean this sincerely, is like anyone who listens to this, watches this, friend, acquaintance, or complete stranger, like is having an issue or like really down in the dumps, and you're actually serious about it and just want someone to like say hi to or like unburden yourself with, literally throw it in the DMs. I'll see it. I'll respond to it 100%. And, I'll give some my advice or personal, more in-depth, detailed things that I have done in my 33 years to kind of overcome that and, help me get out of my valleys, for lack of a better term. So seriously, feel free to do that. Anyone listening or watching, I'm more than happy to lend a shoulder to cry on if need be, or just to talk to as a human being, because I love helping people.
That's awesome, Pete. That's beautiful. I appreciate you coming on, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude. No, I appreciate you having me. I do want to say one thing to you, Justin, is something that has definitely motivated me with getting back into content creation and posting more, is seeing you continue to do this, right? Like we all say, everyone starts at zero. And the only way to get to where we want to be, whether it's like a Joe Rogan podcast or a Mr. Beast YouTube channel, is like you have to make the content. So as a friend, I am very proud of your consistency, and you're going to get the naysayers, you're going to succeed. And the only reason you won't is if you decide to stop. So if you want to keep going, you'll get there. It's just let the people laugh, let the people hate, let the people say negative things, let it motivate you to continue to, put out awesome content, podcasts, and you're helping people along the way. So props to you, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Likewise, the more, and it's funny because like the more I try to motivate you and you try to motivate me, but I'm like, when I motivate you and you do more stuff, then it motivates me.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I just want to be connected with like just like the right group of people that are all attacking life. Because if I see you doing a lot, now I'm like, in contrast, I'm like, well, I'm not doing enough, right? It's just levels up everyone's game. So it's like if we lived together, dude, and I was doing 400 push-ups a day, you'd be like, what the heck? I have to do 400 push-ups, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Surround yourself. We get that inner circle, right? Like you become who there's so many studies out there like that you become who you grew up with, friends wise, family wise, parent wise. And I see it every freaking day, traveling the world, traveling the country, flying with different men and women. And it's like, and dating different people. I can tell how they were raised in the first day of meeting them, because I can tell how they interact with different people and stuff. But yeah, it's not to go off too far offline there, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's awesome to see you pushing for what you want, and it motivates me, it motivates you, and we just keep just nothing to the
Great.
moon, baby, to the moon.
The top. All right. Well, thank you, brother.
Yeah, man. Awesome.